The mind-body connection is one of the most important things that you can develop during your fitness journey: longevity, health, and performance. Here are 3 upper body movements that I do to keep it fun while working on this connection. The first movement is juggling. And this is a super simple beginner tutorial that I use to be able to practice juggling and get relatively decent at it. This is what I'm currently doing and working up to. So to begin with, you first want to just work on just throwing the ball up and working on keeping your elbows tight. And you're trying to get that height on the ball that's right about your eye height, so that when you are looking forward, you're looking past the ball, but the ball should directly go in front of your eyes. And so I begin just by doing it one side at a time as a little warm-up, right? And then I go 2 balls, throwing up 1, 2, catch, catch, and I do that going both ways, left, right, catch, catch, right, left, catch, catch, right? And then I move on to doing 2 balls with 1 hand. And for this one, I'll hold both in 1 hand and I'll throw it up and then throw the second one up while the first one's in the air and catch both. I do that on both arms as well. And this is kind of a progression that you can use in the beginning. Instead of going straight to trying to do 3 balls at once, you can start to work and break down these pieces of juggling with 3 balls into these individual components that you can work on, right? And so when I first began, I would work on it like this. So I would break it down and just get really, really good with doing these 1, 2, and then the 1, 1 on the single hands as well. And then what happens there is you progress on to using 2 balls in 1 hand and 1 ball in the other hand. And the way I like to think about this is you're doing 3 throws, so it's 1, 2, 3, and then there's 3 catches, 1, 2, 3, right? And so I would have 2 balls in 1 hand and 1 in the other hand, and you always begin with the ball, the side that has 2 balls in it, right? And you're gonna throw the first ball up and then catch it in the other hand, right? And so you can begin by just throwing it up and catch 1. So that's just like our one catch, our 1 throw and our 1 catch, right? And the second one would be throw from 2, throw from 1, and then catch, catch. So that would be our 2 ball catch. Throw, throw, catch, catch. And then our third progression would be 3 balls, right? Now this would be throw, 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 catch, 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 right? So that's what I'm thinking about in my head when I'm doing this. Starting with the 2 side, and that's how I break it down too. I go 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll stop and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Throw, 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 catch, catch, catch. That's how I break it down. I'm only doing 3 at a time. And I do that until I get a really good feel for it. And if I'm failing on that step, then I'll continue to work on that step and I won't necessarily progress. Once I'm feeling good, then I'll start to add in more throws. I'll throw as much as I can until I fail, pretty much, and then do that quite a few different times. And so that's the beginner breakdown that I like to use to begin juggling. One of the best ways to do it. And yeah, I would just say try not to focus on 1 ball, but rather focus on a distant point ahead of you, and then the balls will be in your field of vision. And this is also why this movement is one of the best ones for developing this mind-muscle connection, because you have to actively engage in your environment, a dynamic moving environment, and to be able to track using your hands to get into the different spots in that environment in order to do this properly. And so your mind has to be able to efficiently and effectively think and process things fast. The second thing that I use for building my mind-muscle connection is called physical flow. At least that's what I call it. And this takes many different variations and forms, such as animal flow, rope flow. There's a lot of different ones, but the whole idea here is just that we're creating some type of rhythm and routine that your body can move through and engage with some type of object. There's even one that you can do body weight. It's called animal flow. And it's a really good way just to incorporate dynamic full body movements in a way that is efficient and effective and also engages different parts of your body at the same time. For today's example, I'm going to show you guys the progression that I've been using and practicing in order to build up flow using kettlebells specifically. And a big component of that flow is actually juggling as well, and learning how to juggle kettlebells. So to begin with that, the first step that you have to get really good at when you're trying to get good at kettlebell juggling is actually just the normal hip swing, the kettlebell swing. And so what I like to say for my clients when I'm teaching this movement is that the arms are relaxed and the hands are active, but the arms are nice and relaxed. And you're using the momentum from your hips to get the weight up and down. So as you can see here, I went from doing 1 arm swings to double arm swings to getting catches, right? So coming up and just catching it. And then I'm progressing now to finally doing a juggle, doing our first juggle with both arms flipping the kettlebell forward, and that's the motion that I want you to think about, is when you get to the top of that kettlebell swing, you're flipping the kettlebell forward, and then the kettlebell handle is going to go around and come back into your hand, and then you can go back into your swing. As you can see, the swing is going to be super important because you have to do a swing between every single juggle, every single movement here, right? Every single toss. And so getting your foundational swing down is a really big step of learning how to juggle a kettlebell the right way. And so as you can see here, I'm getting more and more fancy, and this is where the flow component can really start to play, and the dynamic, fun, engaging moment can really start to become active here. Now I'm going to show you guys a bunch of different moves that I've been working on here. This isn't necessarily ones that you can work on, although these are the ones that I would recommend working on, because there's transitions and things like that that also play out of these specific moves, like the snatch and like that toss there where I toss it from one hand to the other, and then all different types of things. And then once you start to kind of put these together, you can start to really create a nice dynamic routine that's fun, engaging, and that really works on your mind-muscle connection. And the great thing too with the kettlebells is it allows you to get some traction for your joints as well. So it's a really good way to allow your body to elongate, right, to decompress in the different joints, because that weight is pulling you in these different directions. And so it's really, really good for creating some traction in the joints, and also promoting the production of synovial fluid and different things like that. And all at the same time while creating a great mind-muscle connection and increasing your hand-eye coordination at the same time as well. It's also just a really fun way to get a good workout in. This is the second way that you can develop this mind-muscle connection using an upper body skill set. Handstands are another great way that you can start to develop your mind-muscle connection through your upper body. Because the handstands are an overhead to head movement, that means it can be very demanding of your shoulders in terms of mobility, strength, and stability, which are all very important things to have in your shoulders, which is another reason why you should be working on these. But the progression here is very slow, and you have to work your way up to being able to actually hold yourself up. The handstand is a great way to work on that overhead strength and mobility and endurance and stability and many other things. But it also incorporates the whole body if you're not doing it against the wall. Having to hold that handstand up in the middle of a area is a great way to incorporate your whole system, your whole body, in terms of learning how to use your body and create that mind-muscle connection. The progression here that I go to is come into a pike position where you're in a push-up and you walk your hands back, let the hips come up as high as you can, and then you're just rocking back and forth and trying to put more and more weight into your shoulders. After this, I like to put my feet up on a box, or you can even elevate them in a barbell on a rack, and then you're also thinking about hips, and you're pushing your hips more and more over your shoulders and your hands and your elbows, right? Because the whole idea of finding your perfect handstand comes down to having your wrists, elbows, shoulders stacked essentially, and then your hips, knees, and feet stacked, right? I'm a novice at handstands. This is something that I am working on, and so these are the things that I've found to have worked for me to get me to the level where I am currently at, which you guys will see. I haven't quite mastered the freestanding handstand yet, but I'm very close, I believe, to getting there. One of the biggest things that I've learned when it comes to mastering the handstand is the fact that you have to properly learn how to engage your core and stack the block, so to speak, of your body, which again is a great reason why, even though this is an upper body dominant movement, it requires a full body awareness and presence. My wife is a gymnast, and she's fortunately very good at handstands, and so she's helped me a lot with this. And one of the biggest things that I learned early on from her is actually getting in and out of the handstand and learning how to kick yourself up, right? Getting into the handstand. But because before, what I would do is I would put my hands down and then just try to kick myself up instead of using the momentum of kind of pushing yourself into the handstand, as you see here. This is one of the first things that I learned, and it's one of the most valuable things that I've learned from her, and I've gotten much better at it too. You start to have a feeling for how hard you need to kick up in order to get to the top of the handstand, and overall it's just a really great way to transition into this. It's also a really good warm-up for the shoulders and preparing yourself for handstands. After this, what I progress to for me is going up against the wall or using some type of pole or something that you can put your feet up against. I preferentially enjoy putting my feet up against a pole or like a barbell in a rack, because it allows me to put my legs on one side and the other side of the rack, of the bar, And that allows me to be able to use my legs to dynamically help and assist me to maintain the right positioning. It also allows me to actually clamp onto the bar in order to get my hands in the right position so that my whole body is stacked, right? As you can see. And while I'm in this position, what I'm actively thinking about is trying to get my body stacked. And one of the most important things that you learn while you're trying to create this handstand, while you're trying to get good at doing handstands, is actually learning how to tuck your pelvis, right? How to tilt your pelvis in a way where the core is activated and the glutes are activated. Because this is one of the main ways to ensure that you have a strong core. And so that's one of the things that I think you can work on when you do have a bar that's up above you, because you can get that straight line, have your feet on either side of the bar to maintain your stability, and then really focus on honing in on the midsection, the core, the hips, and the glutes. And that allows you to really practice that and get good at it. So this is where I am currently at for my handstand, so I can't further speak about what to do next because I am not there yet, but this is what I would recommend you do in order to get to this spot where I am at. If you have shoulder problems or overhead shoulder mobility and strength issues, there are some other accessories that you could work on in terms of straight arm exercises and straight arm strength, and over the head strength and over the head exercises as well. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you're interested in health coaching or personal training, please feel free to reach out to us through our website at rocklandpersonaltraining.com or hit us up on Instagram at rocklandpersonaltraining.